Okay, how we doing? So I guess a no-no, a near perfect game should call for a breakdown. I had like three requests this morning to do a Carlos Rodon pitching mechanics breakdown. So I have a few videos we'll go over. I pretty much can get every angle that I need to do a full breakdown. Which is interesting. This is interesting because I got a bunch of Carlos Rodon request breakdowns, but Joe Musgrove just threw a no as well. And no one asked me to do a breakdown. Must be a lefty thing. All right, so I'm just I'll do a full breakdown. I'll try to point out some things that I love and some things that I don't love within his mechanics. I don't know. I should have looked this up before we hopped on here, but I don't know what his injuries are, but I know he had two pretty substantial injuries. I wish I did know because there's one particular thing within his delivery that I think is going to lead to a potential breakdown. Now, let's start off this breakdown by saying, like, huge fan, right? Like, the game of baseball is just beautiful in the way that it people can rise from like the ashes. He goes from just the biggest prospect to like no one talks about him. And now he just threw a near perfect game and he's been shoving. We're going to start off this breakdown by acknowledging the fact that he just looks like amazing in that uniform. I mean, are those real stirrups? That's the question. I think they're socks. Anyways, so kind of tough. This video here on the right is actually a video that I took from the MLB.TV White Sox broadcast warm-ups. They videoed his warm-ups. And then the video here on the left, shout out Pitchers Nation for supplying that one. But what I see, there's a difference in like the foot setup. And you can tell by the video here on the right that like he's in his warm up, so he's not coming set and then leg lifting, but you can see like the feet, the separation between the feet. That was going to be something that I was going to talk about when I just looked at this video, and then I realized here within his actual game, like this video on the left is the final out. But I'm not going to talk about that anymore because he doesn't seem to do that when he pitches in the game. Basically, what I was going to refer to is like the distance that your feet are apart can help aid in your acceleration, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's take him into his initial move. Very similar in regards to the stretch position. And in the video on the left, you're going to see a lot better shift with his hips in his initial move. This is what I call like forward momentum within the initial move is going to help aid in his acceleration rate. I also, there's a big key indicator, or just like a thing that I look for within my analysis service. And that's, does he, as he enters his drive phase, and now remember the drive phase is just descending from peak leg lift. And now it's the phase in which you descend into your anchor point. So the thing that I look for within the drive phase after the initial move is the corresponding move with his trunk. All right. So I'm looking for, does he abide by gravity? Does he utilize the slope to help aid in his acceleration, or does he try to like defy gravity? A lot of times you see, or at least I see with guys that have gone through some injuries, is they try to buy a lot of time, which results in a pretty aggressive hip coil and, limited amount of acceleration. But he does a really good job of, kind of doing something of a move very similar to like a Snell or a Bieber, where he kind of tilts and counter rotates his trunk over that rear hip to load up this drive leg. And now he does a sensational job with his loading pattern of his drive leg. He's a big dude, he's putting a lot of force into the ground. He's on time with his hands, and something that a lot of people won't talk about in regards to his pitching mechanics is the deception of his hiding the ball. All right. You can't really, I guess maybe you can see it in that video, but I look at like hand separation with the descent of the leg lift. So something that I think helps aid in his toughness, his overall toughness to hit, is he's consistently hiding the ball. So he hides it behind that leg lift. And then now, like I said, entering drive phase, really good. I mean, this is his warm-up throw, and you can just see the efficient loading pattern of his drive leg. Like I said, with the trunk kind of counter-rotated with some tilt. Hand separation pretty early in his drive phase. Not a super long, complicated path, but just a simple separate and now lift. Notice that the hand isn't, shooting backwards. That's going to be another mechanism that potentially can help not decelerate, but limit the acceleration rate. So still hand path connectivity, even though he does get full elbow extension. And now this is a huge piece to his delivery that I absolutely love, with the timing of the hand raise in relation to essentially when we're transferring our energy. All right. So when we look at like the sequence of all of the flows of force throughout our body and the energy that we're producing within the delivery, he's just, it's easy to say in a broad terminology like on time, but he truly is in regards to retract and rotate, comes up. You can see now the amount of segmentation and separation that he gets. You can see that back foot, posture of his hips. I know these two angles are pretty tough to tell in regards to the actual amount of separation. We'll get to another video here in a bit. But he's look at the upper body mechanics positioning is fantastic. Like I said, with the timing of his hand, right, getting in the most optimal spot, this is going to set him up for success. He's going to be able to get back a lot of this energy that he's produced. So now you can see as he goes into his anchor point here, hips complete rotation, pulls the trunk into rotation, pulls the arm through. And this is the period in time where the force of the lead leg is the greatest into the ground. So all this energy, right, is shooting up. And so he's going to be able to get a lot back by positioning his arm in layback phase at this period of time. A couple things in terms of staying on topic with things that I like. Good shoulder extension, right? Throwing shoulder in front of glove side shoulder. Knee extension is just, to me, when we're not manipulating, it's a byproduct of just an efficient positioning of a series of events occurring before the foot anchors into the ground. I talk a lot about the lead leg block, like an efficient lead leg block resulting in knee extension, just kind of being a byproduct of a series of movements, a series of time-sensitive movements, putting yourself into the right position. So we look at ball release, and another thing I talk about a lot in terms of hip extension, boom, shakalaka, right? Just tells me that he's completed that transfer. Right? When we go back to this phase right here, in terms of his energy into the drive leg, transferring it to the front leg, hip extension, along with a couple of other components to hip extension, but just kind of telling me that he's transferred all of this drive leg energy into the front leg to be blocked, and he's gotten all of that, a majority of that energy back. So when we talk about effortless velocity and, an arm action, or just pitching mechanics in general that take a lot of stress off your arm, this is something, to look at. Good glove side, you can see that his trunk is going to get his glove, right? We take it back a few frames. His glove isn't being tucked into his body, right? That's kind of a glove side mechanics manipulation effect. He's actually going to get his glove side with his trunk, which is going to result in this kind of efficient movement, like I said, with shoulder extension, and late launch, right? Now, this is the biggest thing that I don't necessarily love, is we look at like the decel pattern of his arm and the cervical rotation of his. I think he's going to have some neck strains, maybe potentially. Again, I'm not It's kind of just what I observe. The reason why I say the biggest thing for me, as far as the components that I don't love, being the arm deceleration, because I've personally been there. I had to kind of redefine my deceleration pattern with my arm. I've had a couple different injuries that have been said to me are byproducts of a inefficient arm deceleration pattern. You're just, this is where it gets tough for me. This could be skewed easily because video on the left is a change up, and the video here on the right is, warm-ups. I have terrible handwriting. So it could be skewed. But I just don't see with his decel pattern, him giving himself a lot of time to decelerate his arm. Now, mind you, he got up to 99 in that last inning. So that's a lot of acceleration, right? And, if you're not giving your arm enough time to decelerate and you're staying in elbow extension the entire way, that's going to be cut off early with your decel pattern due to just your pec getting in the way. And, he doesn't get a whole lot of, the thing that helps him is he gets a ton of like trunk rotation. You can see here, he gets a ton of trunk rotation, which buys him time. But with his arm deceleration pattern, staying in elbow extension, not getting, a bent arm like that, giving him more time. I think just over time, and this is why I wanted to know his injury history, because I think over time that could potentially lead into some shoulder. For me, it was bone spurs in the elbow and a lat strain, so something to look at, I guess, moving forward. But that's kind of what makes him him. I remember watching him in college at NC State, and that was one thing that like jumped out to me too, was the way he kind of finished like a third baseman, getting a backhand or something. So that's what I got on Rodon. I totally mispronounced his name earlier to somebody. I said Rodon, so I apologize to you, but he moves very, very well. I think his lower body mechanics especially are, some of the best lower body mechanics in the game. I'm actually, as soon as I jump off this breakdown, I'm going to look up his injury history because I'm very curious now in terms of maybe it was a shoulder, maybe it was a lat. I don't know if he had Tommy John, but yeah. One more video, actually. Front view, yeah. A couple things. Retract and rotate. So this is what I look at in terms of a timing mechanism with lower body mechanics, upper body mechanics, and creating authentic separation through segmentation. Retract and rotate at the timing in which you're going to see the elbow. This is a beautiful view to see this, right? As soon as you see the elbow initiate into retraction, that's the time in which you're going to see that knee kind of fold in, which is essentially just the hips initiating rotation. So you can see it here, this effect. Trunk stays neutral, right? Trunk stays neutral, glove side folds, and now boom, we anchor down. And this is segmentation. This is separation. He's got some freaking tree trunks too. Hips into 45 maybe, as far as degrees of rotation. Trunk stays neutral, hiding the ball still, right? Anchoring down, hips, gravity just kind of completes rotation. Lead leg blocks this energy, sends it up. Trunk comes through, pulls the arm through, and boom, shakalaka. Equal opposite too, his arms match. I just love doing this, guys. This is so cool. I know you guys don't geek out on it as much as I do. Another thing to take note of, I should have said it in the other video, is the way that his front foot lands. That's a good segue into, I'm actually currently talking about that in my ebook that I'm writing, that I've been writing for the last 3 months. Probably going to take me another month because there's so much goodness. Segued into that, I'm going to be giving away 5 free copies of that. All you got to do to enter of that giveaway is be a subscriber on my YouTube channel and leave a comment on this video and then leave a comment on every other video when I do pitching mechanics breakdowns. I'll make sure to say that in the intro. So that is the newest member to the No Club. Do you guys remember the commercial of Justin Verlander and Kate Upton when they were doing like the MLB 2K11 and they were getting in the hall, or is like the No or something like that? Yeah, good times. I don't know why I just thought of that. Oh, I do know why. Because he just threw a no. Fantastic. All right, guys. I'm Robby Rowland, and you just watched my breakdown on Carlos Rodon. I have 3 more breakdowns to get to within the next few days. I want to do Lance Lynn. I got to do Joe Musgrove. And I got to do, who was my other one? I don't remember. You'll see it. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you guys.